Shank Rock is the wave of the future. The diagrams that I have up, where did this go wrong at?
Remember, we didn't know this happened to her.
Okay. But that's in the trial. There's nobody on a jury that's going to watch these tapes. He done did 7 to 8 different interviews and a book where he done bragged, talked about this stuff in details.
Around 3 o'clock that morning, I got random text messages and it was just pictures of her and the other little girl. I thought it was strange.
Now, some of y'all might say, who is Shank Rock? Shank Rock is black media. Well, what is black media? Black media is all about allowing black people to be themselves first. It's not about race. It's not about religion. It's not about politics. It's about doing what's right. It's about holding those that needs to be held accountable to be held accountable. I want to welcome everybody to this demonstration. Salute to the chat. Salute to the replay gang. Salute to all of my moderators. Let me see who we got in here. I see you, Miss Parker. Born a Queen. I see you. I see you, Black 4197. Precious Jones. I see y'all. How many of y'all are aware of the mid-air scare? Drop a 1. Drop a 1 if you are familiar with this. It happened Friday night. It happened last night. I see you, Precious Jones. I see you, Mel. I see you, SPHJ. So apparently, matter of fact, let me just let it ride before I get into my commentary. But apparently, there was a Muslim. Let me just let this ride for y'all.
Have prompted tightened security in this country. And last night, a scare in the air, forcing a Southwest flight to divert to Atlanta. CBS's Allie Bauman reports on what exactly happened. Allie.
Jarika, less than an hour after takeoff from Nashville, passengers tell me flight attendants started running up and down the aisles, and then the captain announced they had to make an emergency landing.
Hands down, hands up.
Passengers braced themselves aboard a Southwest flight Friday night, soon after being diverted to Atlanta. Julie and Sarah Porter say they didn't know what was going on.
Really, the first time we knew that there was someone dangerous on the plane was when the SWAT team came on at gunpoint.
The captain told air traffic control
every 10 minutes, foreign languages, worried about his bags.
Oh my God. Video shows armed officers boarding the plane and forcibly removing a passenger. Former National Transportation Safety Board Chair Robert Sumwalt.
If some flight attendant called up and said there was someone acting suspicious, in these days, I would want to get the airplane on the ground as quickly as I can.
The FBI said in a statement, the FBI Police Department interviewed the person. There was no credible threat and no charges will be filed.
With everything going on in the world right now, I feel like you can't be too careful in this situation.
And a spokesman for Southwest said passengers were
apparently, you know, it's Ramadan for those that practice the Islamic faith, and it's Ramadan. So apparently the passenger has set his alarm to go off for him to make salat, make prayer. Now, as the young lady said, in these days and times, I mean, you know, and this is for the Muslims, you know, y'all might want to speaking English. Like, and they did get everything worked out and settled and everything. And, you know, but if you're on a plane and if you're speaking in Arabic, and if nobody on this plane speaks Arabic, I mean, come on. And we're at war. We're not only at war with one Islamic country, we're at war with close to 8 Islamic countries. So, but I'm gonna take and see what my chat is saying. How do y'all feel about this? How do y'all feel about this? I see you, Passion Big. I see you, Mooey. Appreciate you for pulling up with me, Mooey. I see you, Lulu. Bear with me, y'all. I see you, TT, Miss Gemini. I see y'all. How do y'all feel about this? Do you think that the passengers overreact? Or do you think they, you know, had a legitimate reason? And I'm going to drop the link because I don't want to go on one tonight. I want to keep my cool. So if anybody want to join me on a panel, just click on the Blue StreamYard link. If anybody want to join me on a panel, just click on the Blue StreamYard link. You know, you got to take precaution. You know, now I know if I would have been on that plane, y'all know I got an issue with flying. So, man, ain't no telling what I would have done. You know, but we got to be more careful. We got to be more careful, man, because everybody don't know the Islamic faith. Everybody don't know how Ramadan works. Everybody don't know how prayer works. I think this is reasonable. And I think it's reasonable as well. Now, he did, you know, get detained, but once they got to the bottom of it, you know, they let him go. I feel like if I'm in another country, don't ask me to speak their language because I can't. They treated people the same way after 9/11. And that's true. And that's so true. Make sure y'all follow me on my other social media platforms as well. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And can you kindly tip the host with a super chat, super sticker, Cash App, or PayPal? My Cash App is $ERICMCINT. Let me see if I could grab something else, y'all. Give me 1 second. Let's see what else. I think I already. Let me see. Let me run this one.
I looked a lot different. I started my degree in 1986, and 30 years later.
Southwest Airlines flight from Nashville to Fort Lauderdale. Good evening and welcome to News 2 at 5. I'm Kenley Hargett. News 2's Alexia Shiropoulos is speaking with the woman tonight who was on that flight when this chaos erupted.
Everybody have their heads down and hands up. Heads down, hands up. Heads down, hands up.
Definitely a scary moment for passengers flying to Florida last night. You could hear flight attendants calling over the loudspeakers for all passengers to put their heads down and their hands up. I spoke with Sarah Porter. She was on that flight. She tells me flight attendants were running up and down the aisle before they started making announcements. They could tell something was wrong, but once they were diverted to Atlanta, they sat on the plane for an hour before SWAT teams came aboard.
The first time I at least knew that there was someone dangerous on the plane was when the SWAT team came on and started yelling at us. And it was a little annoying not knowing what was happening until we were getting kind of held at gunpoint. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all of their messages, even when we were in the air, were like, we'll tell you when we get on the ground. Then we got on the ground and they were like, we can't tell you anything more. We have a call in to air traffic and we're waiting to hear back from them. And so we still had no idea.
I mean, what would y'all had it done? You know what I mean? Appreciate that super sticker, Leslie. Imagine y'all on this plane. They're not telling y'all nothing. All they're telling y'all is prepare for an emergency landing. Right? Then you land. I know it would have freaked me out. I already know. I'm keeping it 100. And then you land. And you at standstill for a whole hour. Then SWAT rushes the plane. I mean, can you just imagine? And then you see them taking this dude off the plane. And let's keep it real. He's Middle Eastern. So in your mind, you already know, like, damn, this plane could have got hijacked. It's a strong possibility that we all could have lost our lives. TT says, Lord Jesus. Leslie says, I would have passed out. Mel says, you can only follow instructions. They are trained for these situations. That's really all you can do. And that's all you could do. I mean, you know. Now, let me ask y'all this. Drop a three if you felt like they may have overreacted. I see you, Nola. Appreciate that super sticker, Nola. I see you, Nola. Drop a 3 because I'm sure that he's going to hire an attorney. And I'm sure that this guy's going to be looking to sue Southwest Airlines. Now, do you take his feelings in consideration? I mean, was he racially profiled? What do y'all think? Is this a case of being racially profiled? Because he could easily say, I was racially profiled because I'm Middle Eastern. You know, they had no right because, as he said, he was just making salat. TT says, but see, that's what happens when they allow someone that's dumbfounded, selfish, and hateful person running the country. The ish is sad, but this is exactly what he wanted to do and how he wanted to run it. How many of y'all think that Donald Trump should get the blame of this? Drop a 4 if you think Donald Trump should get the blame. Miss Gemini says, I would have been crying and scared to death. I'm with you. Now, I wouldn't have been crying, but I probably would have been looking around like, and letting, giving people the heads up like, look, we're going to have to rush him. We're going to have to get at him. But I feel you, Miss Gemini. Mel says, no, I don't think so. However, he could have informed the flight attendant in advance. I'm curious to see how this is going to play out. I would have been on Jesus' main line. Let the church say amen. I ain't mad at you, Precious Jones. I ain't mad at you. Mel says this situation could have happened with anyone in office. And I do agree. I do agree. Like, I do know that everything that happens, we people want to blame Trump. Same way when Obama was in office, same way when Biden was in office. It ain't but so much that we can put on the president. Now, we can chop it up if y'all want to. We can chop it up as far as how do y'all feel about Donald Trump um um assassinating the Ayatollah of Iran. How do y'all feel? Do y'all feel that Donald Trump is only taking over these issues with these other countries that has already been on the books? Because somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say this beef with Iran goes back to either Bill Clinton or the Bushes. I'm not sure, but can somebody that has a thorough knowledge of this, can somebody drop it in the chat on where did this beef with Iran started with? TT says, now why would he go? You know why? Mel says, I worked with a young lady at Toys R Us that wore the head covering and all to work, but she informed us of the times she had to pray. And that's true. But maybe my man just forgot. Okay, Daddy Bush. Okay. No, this beef goes back 47 years. Okay. So, should Trump, President Jones says, Daddy Bush, should Trump had just left it alone? Just because we had already been beefing with Iran, do that mean that Trump should have carried it out? What are y'all thoughts? They honestly took their oil, the Bush family. So let me bring Mel up. And I'm so glad that Mel is hitting the panel because lately I've been getting on one, y'all, and I've been doing a lot of cussing and salute Mel.
Salute, Shank. Well, I can speak on it a little bit because I just been doing a lot of research, and I send you a lot of stuff, but whenever I see stuff, I like to go back and look at it. So this has been going on about 47 years. This was going on when Reagan was in office, when Carter, all it's going back a long time, but you have to listen to what Trump says, and again, to everybody in the chat, it's not taking someone's side politically, it's just taking what's really happening. But it's been happening for about 47 years. Now, I can say that we've just been going through, these negotiations all this time, but they've been punking us all this time too, you know, and all the time that we were going through the negotiations, all the time they're preparing to build a nuclear weapon, which would have been detrimental not only to United States but to a lot of the allied regions over there, right? So I think I know I don't think I know that 2016. I think I sent you the clip. And do you remember what Hillary Clinton said if she was elected president? You remember what she said, right?
Yeah.
But did you heard what the other president said too, right? Don't.
Mm-hmm.
When they asked them a question about Iran's threat, what they say don't. So they've just been pacifying them, but all this time they're planning an attack. It's been going on for a 47 years. So you heard what Hillary said she would do if she was elected. You heard what Joe Biden said. You heard what Kamala said, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you heard what Trump said, right? He stood on business, right? Now, the crazy part to this is that President Obama paid them $1.7 billion. And if you're hearing what's in the news now, where he's hired a team of lawyers because he's got to go answer for that. $1.7 billion cash. That's a lot of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know now that a lot of people are speaking about it and, kind of, bashing the administration now for doing what they did, but it had to be done. It had to.
And, and,
And he just said, you know what? He said it, you know. I'm gonna do it, and he did it.
and let me just slide in. Y'all know, you know, no matter where you at, no matter what you got going on, your word is your bond. You gotta stand on business. If nobody else likes you, if nobody else feels as though what you're doing is right, you gotta stand on. I got if I tell y'all I'm gonna do something, I gotta do it. I gotta stand on business. And I keep saying it over and over. When it comes to Trump, he stands on business. Let me grab Chuck's comment. I see you, Leslie. Leslie says, everyone's business isn't our fight. Let me grab Chuck's. Chuck says, as a USMC vet and one that was part of Desert Storm, I actually feel for the service members that are fighting a war that they don't believe in. We only know what they want us to know. That's facts. You want to come in on that, Mel?
Right. Yeah, I'll comment on that. So, again, you know, I know Chuck is a younger guy too, but we all have questions about everything. So I just make sure that, and I've been sending you those videos for about a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just went back and just did a lot of research, and maybe I'll text it to you later if you just want to go there and look and then share some of the stuff. But there's a YouTube channel where you guys wouldn't believe the information that comes from there. There are actually historians, real historians that really can take you all the way back. But I'm gonna
Let,
tell y'all who the main culprit is in all of this.
let me just slide in, Mel, for
Mm-hmm.
1 second. Now, I do agree with Leslie. Leslie says that was Israeli business. I agree with Leslie. Come on back, Mel.
Leslie, I understand what you're saying, but it wasn't Israeli business. That was what the United States did. They had to do that. Everybody knew that. That's why I can tell you like this. Hillary Clinton was really popular when she was running for president, right? Her making that statement is why she lost. It's really deeper than meets the eye, and the United States was always known as the power country, regardless. But what people don't realize is that we lost that power a long time ago. And in the world is really like a participation, right? Everybody's in the world. Is goods and commerce going from here to there. So you can't look at it like, okay, so we're the United States. That's not our business over there. Yes, it is our business over there. That's why we have military bases set up everywhere over there. Because if we didn't, and we allowed them to get close to the United States within missile range, then we wouldn't be here. They knew that. So
Let
you
me
have to
say
think of it like this. I don't know if you guys remember the summer of 2024 when Russia had a submarine going straight through the Atlantic that went all the way to Miami Beach. And the people were actually in the water on the beach, but they're looking up thinking like, what the heck is that? And they saw the Russian flag.
let me ask you this, Mel.
Go
This is
ahead.
what TT says. He only did that to distract and keep us from talking about the Epstein files. Remember, his name came up umpteen times in the files, and they was going to expose it from the little girl. You know what, you know what, you know what. What's your thoughts on that, Mel?
Actually, what's going on has a lot to do with those files. And if you can a bit deeper, and because I'm going to share that, I'm not going to say the content channel on the panel, but I'm gonna text it to Shank and let him go check out a lot of stuff, and then he can share what he wants to share. But That's what we all was thinking, right? But it's totally the opposite. So if you go and search for Hillary Clinton's depositions, I mean, she's just straight out disrespectful. I mean, in 2008, Trump actually called the FBI on Epstein, but the stuff in there was so deep, they didn't do anything about it. Eventually, they did. So I don't think Trump name was in there umpteen times.
And then let me just say this in Trump's defense now, just because his name may be in those files, that don't mean that he done anything wrong. That's what I'm saying. So this is my thing with the Epstein files. What's the end game? Okay. They made a big fuss, a big deal about these files. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mel. Now that the files have been released, nobody got arrested. Correct?
You're right. That's my end game. The only two people right now that are doing the depositions that I know of is Bill and Hillary Clinton. They seem to be two of the deepest people, and Bill Gates. I don't think he's did a deposition yet. He may have, but I know Bill and Hillary did. And when I tell you, you can actually, they may be on YouTube. I don't know, or you can go to TikTok and search them. But Hillary Clinton is trying to hold it down for her and Bill, but you can tell that it's really, really not looking good for them. It's just not. So, but this, what's going on in, in Iran, it doesn't have anything to do with that. And again, I was thinking about Chuck, and I know he's a Marine, and sometimes when you're a service member, you don't know everything that's going on. You just you take an oath and you do what you have to do. But I took my when I started hearing stuff, I took my time to go research everything. Now, aside of them, what has been the reason why our economy has been changing, and that, now to be honest with y'all, that has to do with England.
Mm.
So the Queen of England, she was running everybody, to be honest with you, when it came to commerce. And so right now, if you can see, it's all of that is coming out. So it doesn't have anything to do with the Epstein files. It's just that we all grew up in the time where we woke up and we did what we had to do. We either went to school or to work, and everything was business as usual. And it's so hard that, because of social media, that everything is on Front Street. That's what they used to say back in the day. Everything is on Front Street, and a lot of people don't want to believe it, but it's true. It's absolutely true. And you can, luckily they've been making movies and stuff forever, so everything was recorded. Now, when Donald Trump first spoke about this, he was 34 years old. He wasn't a politician. But he spoke about, how he thought it was insane that the United States would let Iran hold 34 American people hostage. He thought that was insane.
Let me grab this super chat from Nola. Nola. Appreciate this, Nola. Nola says, I think Prince Andrew got arrested for Epstein in London. Let me grab two more comments, Mel. Chuck said, appreciate that super chat, Nola. Chuck says, the end game is that there are powers in place that feel as if some folks have gotten out of line. Therefore, they have become fish food. As for Trump, knowledge and no action is participation. Cut 33 says, we lost our power when Nixon took the gold backing our dollar. We
Come on,
believe
you.
We believe that we are the power. History tells me we lost that a long time ago. This is a distraction. We are leaving the money. We now will be digital. Okay, let me grab Jenny and then we're going to come back to cut 33. Jenny says he started a war not to get out the set and he did all that stuff. Let's come back to cut 30. Cut 334. What do you feel about that, Mel?
So they're right on point. So again, this goes back a long time. But at the meantime, you have, because remember, nobody else has nuclear weapons, but Iran has been. They've kind. I don't want to say they bullying. They have been bullying everybody. Now they know they couldn't really get close to the United States, but see, their closest ally that was a missile strike of Miami was Venezuela.
Mm.
So now you see how that operation went. We're gonna take out Venezuela. Mm. So when they struck Iran, where do you think JD Vance went? And you know
Mm.
JD Vance is a Marine. Where do you think he went? He went to Miami. Because remember when the submarine went to Miami, Joe Biden made an announcement that everything was okay. They was just on their way to a military operation in Cuba. But then a few hours later, because I live here, I don't live in Miami, but a few hours later, they deploying. I don't know the name of the boats. They're not like the really big aircraft carriers, but you got a Navy ship, and then you have the Navy and the Air Force dropping Navy SEALs and troopers out of helicopters right in Miami Beach, in the water, with the people in the water.
I remember.
You remember? Then they got an 18-wheeler pull up and 500 Marines run out.
I remember.
And this happened right in our backyard under Joe Biden.
Look.
So people say, oh my God, he's letting them over here. They already been here and not under his watch. But they do know that there are sleeper cells possibly in California, Tampa, Florida, and I forgot the other place. Maybe I forgot the other place. Maybe New Jersey. I'm not sure. I forgot the other state. But look at all that snow that dropped on New Jersey.
Yeah.
That was intentional
Yeah.
because they say one of the cells are there. I don't know that to be true, but like I say, I just kind of I hear the stuff and I go to find the facts about it. So just so I have an open mind, because if I don't, I would get wrapped up in all of the other rhetoric. Just blaming somebody. Oh, it's so and so fault. Oh, this so. No, what's going on right now is necessary.
I mean, what president was in office that didn't go to war with somebody?
Exactly. And see, people were making a big deal like, oh my God, he didn't call Congress. Yes, he did.
I
He
mean,
did.
it's
Congress haven't did a declaration of war since World War II. All the other wars we were involved in, presidents declared those wars. They let Congress know. But sometimes you're, the president and, the Joint Chief of Staff or whoever the highest military person is, they know stuff more and they don't have time to Congress to be trying to vote and make decisions. Heck, they can't hardly vote on other stuff. But, um, you know, Obama bombed 8 countries. But nobody knew that because they didn't report that. You feel me? I think Clinton, he may have bombed 3 or 5. I think Chuck said he was in Desert Storm, right? I think that was Clinton. Or it might have been Bush. I'm not sure. Desert Storm, I believe, was Clinton. No, I don't know. Either way, all presidents except for Jimmy Carter done did well. These are called operations now because there are no American soldiers on the ground in Iran. And I think the 3 casualties that they had, those they were National Guard. I think they were in Kuwait. It was some type of accident that happened in Kuwait. But there's no boots on the ground. But I think they've already conceded.
I mean, let's look at the history of America.
Mm-hmm.
It has always been bloodshed. Of
Yeah.
course, in the beginning of America's history, the bloodshed was pretty much taking place on American soil. You know, North against the South, the Civil War, um, independence. America's getting its independence.
Yeah, we were fighting each other, right?
Right. So now that America has been established as a corporation, I see you, Yvette Stewart. I mean, it's only right to start taking, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. I might be reaching, but it's only right that we start taking from others. Am I reaching, Mel?
Well, I think that so Donald Trump to me was not Donald Trump. Ronald Reagan to me was one of the most economically sound presidents that we had, right? And let me see, what did he do? He took down Russia. I forgot what they used to call it, but he was very economically sound. And during his regime, he was the United States was number one, but Iran was always the nemesis because they always threatened everybody. So the one place that everybody's going to protect in the world, they're going to protect Israel.
Why is that? Yvette Stewart says, Mel, I'm always astonished by your knowledge. Well done. I see you, Yvette. Nola says, I think Mr. Prince Andrew turned himself about Epstein and he got kicked out of the castle. Why does the world, well, I ain't going to say the world, well, why is Israel so much protected?
Well, that my friend, you're gonna have to refer to the Holy Bible. You know, so all countries will protect Israel, but of course, the United States has the strongest army. We have the strongest military.
Do we?
Yes, ask the Germans.
China's military is not stronger than ours.
No, you can ask Chuck that. The United States has the strongest military. They always have. And when you even listen to like some of the Afghans and stuff, when they was going to war, they was like, you always got to make sure that you got U.S. soldiers around you because they were stronger, you know, they were smarter. No, the United States got the strongest military by far. And when Donald Trump went over there and collected our money from Saudi Arabia and Qatar, he put that money into our military to make it stronger. See, those are the little things. The little things when you wonder what Biden and all of them was doing in office. How can you be a CEO and you got one country that owe you $1 trillion and another country that owe you $1.2 trillion?
Let
How
me
can you how can
let,
you
let,
run the country like that?
let me just. Chuck says China. Hey, Chuck, hit that StreamYard link if you can.
Okay.
Come up for a few minutes, Chuck. I want to ask you a question, Chuck, if you can. Hit that blue StreamYard link. SP says that's to keep the real Israelites from returning there before the return of Christ. Leslie says they have been taking advantage of others since the beginning of time, starting with us. Passion B says, right, Mel, Holy Land. Chuck says China has the numbers, but every region is different due to their terrain and on ground logistics. I've just always thought that China.
China might have more boots on the ground, like more people. But when
Mhm.
it comes to strength, the U.S. is stronger because we got stuff that can get places. We have stuff that they don't have, or
Okay,
more of. Even if they have some things that we have more of it.
okay, let's start with the actual soldiers. Nola says we do not have the best nuclear bombs. Russia does. Let's start with the soldiers. Um, okay, Chuck's are actually dropped. All right, but let's just start with the soldiers. With all of the things that is going on in our military, as far as the transformers being allowed in, you know, as far as the soldiers, let's just start with the soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
Soldier wise, are we a match for China soldiers?
You mean as far as numbers?
Not numbers,
No,
combat,
no.
combat.
The United States by far have the strongest soldiers. They have the strongest Marines. I think I told you this, but um, wait, Chuck, he was in the Marines, right?
Yeah, Chuck was in the Marines,
Ask Chuck, why do they call Marines devil dogs?
but
And who
and
gave
I
the Marines the name devil dog?
and I'll let and Chuck can answer that. But we talking about, and I know Chuck was in the Marines probably over 30 something years ago.
It don't matter. He know why the Germans gave them the name devil dogs. He should know. Hold on, Shank. Let me get the numbers for you, okay?
Okay. Because if y'all remember back in the 80s, the Soviet Union, the USSR, Russia was the powerhouse back in the 80s. And y'all could correct me if I'm wrong. My memory ain't as sharp, but I do believe that the United States of America trained the Afghanistan soldiers to defeat Russia. I got to sneeze, y'all. I got to sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you.
And that's why today the Afghans say, when they in combat, when it comes to any help, they rather have U.S. soldiers. Hold on for a second.
Nola says Russia economy is doing bad. Everyone are getting loans approved to boost the economy. Cut 334 says China just has stronger tech than us.
Nope.
Miss Gemini says China and India has more active military personnel.
Okay, so I don't know if Chuck remembers this, but I'll ask this question. You can ask this question for the chat. Who weakened the U.S. military? Which president?
Was it the son? Was it Bush the son?
Nope. It was President Bill Clinton.
Mm.
Under Clinton's first administration, going into his second administration, I can't even tell you how many military bases he closed. He closed, I can remember in 2003, my middle daughter went into the Army. I never forget, she was a chaplain's assistant. And so she did her basic in her A school in South Carolina. So it was her plus 4 other young black girls, all right out of high school. And then she was from Florida, was a girl from Alabama, 2 from Georgia, and 1 from Louisiana. And so they were all chaplain's assistants, and they all went to Germany. And then they all went to 5 different bases as well. But that was almost had all we had left, because just all, to me, growing up, and people that left home and went to the Army, everybody was in Germany. But Bill Clinton weakened our military. He depleted it. Put retired people early, and closed down bases where people just got out.
You want to read Chuck's comment, Mel, or you want me to read it?
Let me see. Today, Marines may not be Marines of yesterday. We are called devil dogs due to our relentless fighting abilities. You're right, but who gave you the name devil dogs? But I can tell you, it was the Germans during World War II, because they say the Marines had eyes that were red, and they were hard to kill because they never stopped fighting. And that's where the Marines got their name devil dog from. But right now, in 2026, the top 5 strongest militaries, and this is global, and this information comes from the Global Firepower Index. The United States is unmatched in air, sea, and cyber capabilities with approximately 800 global bases. Russia is large, experienced force with massive arsenal and advanced missile systems. They're number 2. Number 3 is China. They have the largest standing army, fast-growing navy, and significant AI technology advancements. And number 4 is India, with over 1.4 million personnel expanding indigenous defense production. India has a lot of people in it, but they don't have a lot of planes and ships and, none of the other stuff. And then South Korea is number 5, which they have advanced technology, high troop readiness, and strong defense posture. So those are your top 5. But the United States is unmatched.
Miss Gemini says Russia has 5,500 nuclear warheads and USA has 5,200.
They can't use them.
So,
and see, because what other country? This is a good question. What other country has military bases in the United States?
Nobody.
What you say, Keith Sweat?
Nobody. And that's something that always puzzled me. Like, why nobody got military bases here, but we got military bases all around the world?
That lets you know the power that the United States has. But see, United States protects so many people. So many other countries. Because the main country that has to be protected is Israel. Period. But a lot of other countries also will protect them too. But see, you have people like China and Russia, they like to sit in the bushes and just wait. But neither one of them has ever challenged the United States.
You don't think the United States day is coming?
They can't get here. How they gonna get here?
How did Rome fall?
You're talking about those times. I mean, people were riding horses, and there was no territory. But we're surrounded by two of the largest oceans in the world. I mean, how are they gonna get here? And let me see. And we also have, I'll tell you.
Chuck says so much of our military training have become more technology than raw grit. If you
Right.
starve a dog and throw him in the woods, he becomes a wolf. Our soldiers today aren't hungry. Yes, it was German in World War II. Yvette says, Mel, you're funny. LOL.
Let's see. So like right now, the United States have 11 aircraft carriers. Nobody matches that. And then the one that's so just think on our aircraft carriers, they carry aircraft, they carry trucks. I mean, that's how we're able to move the way we move. Just like I don't know if you heard, Spain has become an enemy and told the U.S. they couldn't land their planes there. Trump said he can land planes there anytime he wants. But he meant that, because they had, it's one job to do. And, Israel was, Iran was, they was giving Israel, they was giving Israel a halftime. But again, all the other presidents just tried to negotiate with them. And we've all heard them say they trying to negotiate. They've been negotiating with Iran for years. But then
Any
go ahead.
go?
I'm done.
And
No, I'm done.
I was gonna say, any last words before we get out of here, Mel?
No, but I'm glad that I was able to kind of bring a little, just a little insight on, what's really happening as opposed to all of the, stuff that people are spewing out, and we still have to be careful, how we move and always be aware. But I'm personally think the U.S. gonna be fine. I'm not worried about anything like that. I don't think I'm gonna be flying no time soon. But other than that, we still have to just be careful, and you know, we just have to pray for all of our servicemen. And unfortunately, regardless of your differences, you still have to pray for our president, for the president. You just have to pray for him. And the entire administration and the military, because this feat is something that had to be done. But that's my last words.
I appreciate you, Mel. Salute.
Salute.
Miss Gemini says, great convo. Learned a lot tonight. I'm glad that you was able to learn a lot. I learned a lot myself. Salute everybody. I will leave the chat running and you all can hang around. Salute.
First of all, a successful relationship is probably subjective. So it depends on, what each couple is looking for out of a relationship, whether it be a financial one. Are you talking successful in, how far you go business wise? Are you talking successful in how many kids we have or how big our house gets? Some people may be, fine just living in an apartment.
I feel like communication is the key to a successful, first and foremost. from growing up, my father was always the provider. My mother was the homemaker. And so, like Brent was saying, time has changed to where I feel like I had to do a demonstration on, is it 50-50? Should it even be a number versus why don't we just help each other?
That she should respect that, because it's really hard for a man to tap into his emotions, and when he showed that to his woman, she should respect that.
I agree.
Communication, definitely communication, because I feel like that's a partnership. Not only when y'all come into union as a marriage, like when a man and a woman come into union as with a marriage, not only y'all building up a legacy, y'all building a family. And lightweight, even though it's not a business, y'all coming into union, y'all money coming into union, so now the household is now generating income and it's now a business.
So that's one of my deal breakers. You got to be able to communicate. You have to be emotional available for me, because and you asked this question. I have learned that from not being able to be emotionally free in my relationship, right? I will suppress some things, and that cause me to react to others and in my life in a different way. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm gonna need to come home and be able to vent to you without being called a sucker, a softy, and all that, because I'm human too. Right? So I need somebody that's gonna be, no, you don't have to call them. We don't have to have sex every time. But listen, I need you to be there emotionally for me. You know what I mean? I need to be able to vent to you, and you not look down on me for being human.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking this coming from a man. You know what I mean? And I'm every bits and parts of a man. You feel me? So I need that availability, emotionally availability from you, because I'm gonna be there for you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? When that shoulder you need to cry on, I'm that shoulder, and I want to be that only shoulder. I don't want her to run to nobody else's shoulder.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? So them my deal breakers. Like, be the same thing I'm gonna give you. I want back.
To be honest, Shank, my main deal breaker as a man is toxicity in a woman. What I mean by toxicity, I'm just speaking from my perspective. I don't like a female that's ghetto. I don't like a female that's always yelling, cursing. Because I've dealt with someone like that before, and she was a real piece of work. And I said, as I got older, I said I will always make sure if anybody I've ever dealt with, I can't deal with the toxicity at all. Like you're not a female that doesn't, you want to act more like a man than you act like a female, you know, being aggressive, and that's my main deal breaker, is a real toxic female. You know, that's my main thing. I can't deal with that as a man.
Men have feelings too. And I see in some of our communities, men don't get to share their feelings and everything because they always getting shot down. And this caused some destructions in the relationship, because if he can't honestly share with his woman how he feel, what you think that's gonna be like? You know, if I can share my feelings and my opinion, he should have the same right to do the same, because it's a union. Once you come together as a union, it's nothing off the table.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? As far as a woman, you know, helping that man, because that's what she is, a helpmate. When I'm strong, if he weak, I'm going to be his strength. If he weak, I'm gonna be his strength. I'm going to pull where it's necessary to pull that, to keep our relationship together, to keep it whole, to keep it going.
If you have a husband and he's a millionaire and say, baby, I don't want you to work, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. But in our communities, not saying that we don't have black millionaires, because we do, but in a normal setting, these days, it takes two incomes.
No boy.
It takes two incomes, but the respect level, me and my husband never went to bed mad, because you're going to wake up mad. If you don't try to figure out, well, he said this. Okay, explain to me why you feel that way. And I'm going to explain why I feel that way. And then the whole C word, compromise. Compromise. But you got to love yourself. You got to love your mate. Did we argue? Everybody argues. But it's how you get back together to be on that standard. I love you. We're going to make this work. Whatever it is, we're going to make it work.